So you can take my advice or toss it out the window. It's up to you. You know, I don't think I've ever actually used this little measuring cup. I think I should probably try that. I had 2 liters of ginger beer everywhere. Welcome back to the Spicy Apron Cooking Show. My name is Heather, and I am here to show you the easiest ways to get the best results in your kitchen. And today, we're going to focus on the best, because we have been building up to this for a while now. I am going to show you my complete and 100% honest review of the brand new Multo by CookingPal. Now, it is an all-in-one smart kitchen device. It can replace your blender and your food processor and your stand mixer and your steamer basket and your rice cooker and so many things. This video is the third in a 3-video series. The first, I show you the unboxing of the Multo, and it shows you all of the accessories that come with it. It also shows you how wonderful the packaging is. So big thumbs up to CookingPal for your fantastic packaging. The second video was a cooking demo. I'll put a link to that up here. And in that, I make homemade from scratch, amazing mac and cheese, and I make it a complete meal with some ham and some broccoli. So if you want to see it in action, that's the video to watch. And today's video is, I'm going to give you a brief overview of everything, just so in case you didn't see those videos, you'll get a better idea of what it does. And then also my honest opinion. But first, I do need to thank CookingPal for sending me the Multo and also sponsoring this post, because that allowed me to kind of put everything else I was doing aside for a little while and take some time to really go through the Multo, see what it does, see how good it is, test out all of the functions, so then I can give you an honest opinion of what I think about it. So that's what you're getting today, my honest review of the CookingPal Multo. Now, let me just first give you sort of a brief overall picture of what the Multo does and what it comes with and what its functions are. It is an all-in-one smart kitchen appliance that does pretty much everything your stand mixer, your blender, your food processor, steamer, saute pan, all those things can do. And one of the benefits is it does come with all of the accessories, so you're not going to have to buy them separately, which a lot of other devices do that. Now, here is the main base unit. This is the mixing bowl, but it really does do a lot more than that, because like I said, it sautés, it simmers, it cooks pasta, does a great job with soups. And so all of that gets done in here. And then the lid comes off in order to use the additional accessories that come with it. For example, this is the simmering basket. You can put pasta in here. You can cook rice in here. And just as an aside, I did make rice. It was the first thing I tried because it's easy. And let me just tell you, the best rice I've ever made. Seriously, ever. So this was really great for that. It also has this butterfly mixer that's great for whipping cream and whipping butter, honey butter, delicious. So that is what this is for. And then it comes with, now you may have seen this in the other video where I did the mac and cheese and broccoli and ham all at once. And that is what this is for. It is a stacked set of steaming baskets. The top one is a thin one that usually is used for like vegetables and maybe fish, something like that. The bigger one is used for larger items like potatoes or meats, proteins, things like that. And all you do, you can use one or both. You stack them together and then put them right on top of the mixing bowl and lock it in place and then put the lid in. So this is used when you want to do more of the complete meal. So let me just take these off and show you. This, again, is the main mixing bowl. As you can see, a couple of things. Very large capacity, which I love, and I have used it to its full capacity. It's also really sturdy, but it's really lightweight. So very easy to use, and it's got a spout to pour things when you're done. So really am impressed with the mixing bowl. And then this is the main motor that controls everything. It also has rubberized suction cups on the bottom, so it does not move around when you're kneading bread dough. And yes, I've done that too. It stays nice and stable and securely in place. Now, one of the things I mentioned in my other video is the quality. I just love the quality. So everything you touch and feel, oh, feels so good. Now, the last piece of this system is this standalone tablet. Let me turn this on. It went to sleep. It does have a plug if you want to charge it while you're using it, or you can just unplug it like this. Now, this tablet is dedicated for use just with the CookingPal Multo. And I'm going to talk about the tablet a little bit more, but let me just give you sort of a general overview of what it does. It has two modes, manual mode if you just want to jump in and it's got saute and steam and kneading your bread dough. And it has a built-in scale. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but it's built in and it's really, really good. And then it has just a keep warm function, which if you're cooking soups or whatever and they're all done, you can just let it sit on keep warm. It's got manual, which is where you just jump in and put it to whatever speed you want and whatever temperature you want. And then it also has a self-cleaning mode. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And by the way, if you are interested in learning more about this in the future, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell, because that way you'll be notified when I have new videos come out. Now, in addition to all of those modes, it also has guided cooking recipes. And you can see, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's got, full complete meals. It has side dishes. It has desserts. It has sweet treats. It's got your basics. That's where you're going to find things like whipped cream and rice. Have I said that was the best rice I've ever had? Because it was. So those are the types of things that you will find within the guided recipes. If you just tap on one, then it gives you the list of ingredients. You can tap it down to 2 servings or 4 servings. It will automatically adjust the list of ingredients. So there's a lot to this tablet and everything that's in it. But I just wanted to give you a brief overview of sort of the whole entire system and how it works. So now that I have had the chance to go through a whole bunch of recipes and put this thing through the ringer, there are some general things that I want to talk about. First of all, the Multo is available right now on pre-order discount. I will put a link to that below, so you can just go right over to their website and check out their pre-order discount. I don't know how long they're going to keep that discount up, but I have been told that these should be ready to ship in June. So honestly, that's just not very long away. So if you want the discount, go ahead and check that out below. And then I just want to talk about a couple of basic overall things. One thing, and honestly, I don't know if this is an issue or not, but you guys who follow me probably know that I am the author of 2 Instant Pot authorized cookbooks. So I've done a lot with the Instant Pot, and a lot of you out there have Instant Pots, and you probably know one of the things that comes up is that the silicone ring in the lid sometimes can start to smell. Now, way back when, in my Instant Pot days, which I still do use, by the way, I learned long ago that the best way to avoid that problem is to store the lid upside down. Now, this also has a silicone ring in it. So while I have not had a problem, let me be very, very clear, no problem with odor and the ring. Just my experience tells me that may potentially happen just like it does with the Instant Pot lid. So what I do is I store it with my lid upside down. Again, don't know if that's necessary or not, but I would recommend it because of my past experience. So you can take my advice or toss it out the window. It's up to you. Now, another heads up for those of you who have ordered it, when you get it, you'll notice if you follow the guided recipes, they are all measured in weights. Now, for me, that was a little bit of a challenge to say, okay, you need 8 ounces of flour. I normally measure things in cups and tablespoons and teaspoons, so that was a challenge, but it is so easy because this does have that built-in scale and it's very, very, very accurate. So chefs who are a lot better than I am tend to cook by weight anyway, so actually the results are going to be better this way. It was a little bit of an adjustment for me, but now that I'm used to the scale, it's a piece of cake. I did want to give you a heads up on that so you're not surprised by it. Now, another sort of big picture item is that this was actually first introduced at the 2020 CES, the Customer Electronic Show, I believe it's called, the big one in Las Vegas. Yes, they did actually have it in 2020. It was in the beginning of 2020. This product was supposed to roll out in 2020, but we all know what happened to 2020. So here we are in 2021, finally getting to roll it out. But I did want to point out, at that time, The prototype model that was shown at CES was actually called Julia. The real name for the product is the Multo. So if you're Googling and researching, and you might come up with CookingPal, you'll see Julia, you'll see Multo. It is the Multo. So I just wanted to avoid any confusion there. And while CookingPal was at CES 2020, they actually won 2 really, really important awards for this product. One was the Best of Innovation in Home Appliances. That's a big one to win. And then the other was an honorable mention in the Smart Home category. So 2 really impressive awards won by this product in 2020 as they were rolling it out. So now that you know all that, let's get to my own personal experience with it. And let's start with the things that I really love about the CookingPal Multo. The first thing, I've said this many, many times, the quality. It just, everything you touch and feel is amazing. It's just solid, it's sturdy, it feels good. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break. Everything from the tablet, just little details. It's got, the back is rubberized. The stand, you can stand it up to read it, or you can lay it down. I don't know if you can see that. You can lay it down at this angle to look at it while you're cooking. And by the way, that is the position that I use most often. So everything about the quality is fantastic. The lid, the little measuring cup. I don't think I've ever actually used this little measuring cup. I think I should probably try that. But again, everything is just very, very solid. The feel and quality. Overall, super impressed with that. Now, this list of things I love about the Multo are not in any particular order. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about of what I love about it is this device will actually save you money. Now, I'm going to talk about the price a little bit later, but now, let me just give you an example of what I mean by that. I have fairly recently started making my homemade ginger beer. How many of you out there love ginger beer? I know it's very, very popular right now. I actually make the non-alcohol kind, but I do look forward to making it, brewing it long enough to also do the kind with alcohol. But anyway, if you go to the grocery store, a 4-pack of little 6 or 7 ounce bottles is about $6 for the 4-pack, maybe even more. I've seen it for more. I made a huge batch of homemade ginger beer, and when I calculated it by the ounce, how much if I had to pay at the store, it would have been about $22 worth, and the cost for my ingredients was about 50 cents. So yeah, that's a huge savings. And likewise, I make a lot of smoothies with it. This thing does such a good job with smoothies. I have had high-end blenders, and this puts them to shame. I will say that. I can do a smoothie with, ice and frozen bananas and frozen berries and protein powder and all that stuff, and it's done in literally 1 minute. And it's perfect. It is like those $8 smoothies that you get, at the strip mall. So when you just even combine just those 2 things, it will not take long to pay for itself. Now, the next thing that I love about this is the Builtin Scale. Like I said, the recipes are done in weight, so it's pretty necessary to have that, but it's really, really accurate. It's precise. It's down to 0.25 of an ounce. And I do use that measurement. So I love the Builtin Scale feature. And likewise, I love this standalone tablet. Again, it's got the rubberized feet. You can lay it down. Because it's designed just for the Multo, it pretty much stays in my kitchen, although I could take it to my office if I want to check on things as they're cooking, but it pretty much stays in the kitchen. So what's nice about that is it's splash resistant. I can have dirty, floury hands and it still works. And I don't worry at all about getting it all yucky like I would if it were my personal tablet. And in fact, I'll just tell you a little bit of an aside of how thankful I was that it was this one and not my tablet. I told you that I was making homemade ginger beer. And I don't know how many of you do your own ginger beer, but it's a process. Once it's actually done with this phase, then you put it in plastic bottles. And twice a day, you let out the carbonation, and then it brews for about 3 days. And I brought it back in the kitchen after the 3 days, and I was diligent about doing that, I swear. And I brought it into the kitchen, and I was unscrewing the cap in order to bottle it. And it exploded, like it really exploded. How many of you guys have had the ginger beer bomb? It literally, the cap flew off. It exploded to hitting my ceilings. My ceilings are, I think they're 14 feet tall. They might even be taller than that. the entire thing was just this fountain of explosion, and it splashed my entire roof. And it was the ceiling, it was dripping off the ceiling all over me. I had 2 liters of ginger beer everywhere, including all over my tablet. I was not using the Multo for the beer at the time. I was actually using it for something else, but it was just covered. Everything was just covered. It was a colossal mess. I do kind of wish I had that on video. I don't. But how nice it was to just grab this thing and just wipe it down, and it was absolutely good as new. If that were my other personal tablet, it probably would not have survived. Honestly, it was a mess. I'm not kidding. And if any of you know how to avoid the ginger beer bomb, put a comment below. That is just a perfect example of how great it is to have its own dedicated kitchen-proof tablet. Love it. Now, another reason to love the Multo is it does do these complete meals. As I told you before, I did that homemade mac and cheese. Oh, that's just so good. I've made that one a lot, but I also did it with the broccoli and the ham and the little stacked baskets. And seriously, an entire complete meal can come out in less than 25 minutes. It's really perfect for just quick, easy weeknight meals. But having said that, my next thing I love about it is what a wonderful job it does with super delicate sauces. Because it has this ability to do super low heat and a low mixing device at the bottom, it can do everything from that mac and cheese sauce, by the way. If I were doing it on a cooktop, it probably would burn because it's whole milk and it's butter and it's cheeses. And in here, it was absolutely delicious and perfect. And I never had to worry about overcooking it or burning it. And I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to sit there and whisk it or do anything. It did it. I made a homemade Thai chili sauce. It was so good, but again, it did this slow cooking to thicken it with, it had sugar in it and it could have easily burned. It was perfect. It was a little spicy, but it was perfect. So I highly recommend it, not only for the quick and easy, weeknight meals, but man, if you want to elevate your cooking game, the sauces are phenomenal. And then that kind of brings me to the last thing I want to talk about, which is the recipes that come in the guided recipes section. Now, all you do is you grab your tablet, you follow the recipe, and it takes you step by step by step by step. Super easy to follow, and they are delicious. Now, generally, I am not one to follow a recipe. I kind of just like to put in what I want to do. And by the way, you can do that, and I have done that, where I want to deviate from a recipe and I can just sort of modify it how I want. But what I will say is when I'm going through these guided cooking recipes in the Multo, I kind of look at them and think, well, what would I change? Nothing. They're so good. So really my hat goes off to CookingPal because not only did they take the time to develop a really, really high quality, wonderful system, but they also took the time to develop fabulous recipes to go with it. So I highly recommend trying the recipes as they are first. Then if you want to modify it later. But the recipes that come out are delicious. You guys, I had to jump in here because I cannot believe I forgot to mention one of my very favorite features, which is the self-cleaning mode. I had to reach out to CookingPal and say, please send me some stock footage of the cleaning mode because I could not do this video without talking about it. It is amazing. And it has 2 different kinds. It has a deep cleaning mode, which is a 3-minute cycle, and a quick rinse, which you do in between steps in a recipe. That is a 30-second cycle. But I'm telling you, I have tested that feature out a ton with that rich and creamy mac and cheese or that sticky Thai chili sauce. And I just simply put in a little water, 1 little squirt of dish detergent, run it on the deep cleaning cycle, and it takes 3 minutes. It heats it up. It stirs it all kinds of different ways. It does an amazing, amazing job. So please make a note of that feature because it is absolutely one of my favorites, and I can't believe I forgot to mention it. Now it's time to get to a few things that I kind of don't really love. And the first one is that there is a learning curve associated with learning how to use it. It's a very complex machine, and the software, while it's very good, you got to learn it. You've got to figure it out. You've got to learn what the device can and can't do. And it just takes a little bit of time. In fact, it kind of reminds me, way back when we all got our Instant Pots. I know a lot of you have Instant Pots. A lot of people back then were like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to take it out of the box. And it's been sitting on my countertop. There was a learning curve associated with the Instant Pot. I remember it well, but it's easy to forget. So it's kind of like that you're going to want to pull this out of the box and just jump right to it and whip up something fabulous in 10 minutes. If you want to do that, try the rice. I've already told you it's fabulous. But anyway, to really learn it and understand it and really understand what the tablet's controlling and how it works, it does take a little bit of time. And you do need to invest that time in order to get these wonderful results that I am raving about. But I promise you, if you invest the time to learn it, it will save you a ton of time down the road. Now, a little bit of why there's a learning curve might be that a few of the recipes can be a little bit confusing. And I'm not quite sure if that's because of some of the verbiage used. For example, in the potatoes, as a list of ingredients, they'll say use floury potatoes. Well, that's not really a term at least that I really use when I talk about potatoes. I mean, I knew they were talking about russet potatoes. At least I assumed they were. I think so. But there are a few examples of that. For example, they'll say use corn flour. And what they mean by that is cornstarch. Now, that's a term a lot of you guys are probably familiar with it, but a lot of you won't be familiar with it. So I came across a number of things that I had to actually stop and think, what do they mean by this? So that slowed me down just a little bit. And then along the same lines, there are a few steps in some of the recipes. I don't think they were out of order, but they might have been written in a different order. So it was a little bit confusing. For example, in one of the pastas, I was not clear whether I should be using the the simmering basket or not, because it doesn't mention it, but then it says to remove it with your spatula. So, again, these are software things that can easily be tweaked, and frankly, I'm sure they will be. CookingPal cares a great deal about whether their recipes work and are clear. So I've been working with them. As time goes on, I have no doubt that they are going to roll out updated versions of those little things that can make it a little bit confusing when you're first starting. Now, the next one I'm going to mention is really probably not fair to mention, but for me, it was a little bit of a drawback. There is an app that's going to come out that's associated with all of it for your phones. Now, I believe it's going to roll out at the same time the units roll out to all of you, but I did not get that. So it would have been nice to have the app on my phone. So if I'm in a grocery store and I'm thinking I want to make, flip through the recipes, oh, that sounds good, and I want to make it, here's my list of ingredients, I couldn't do that. I actually the only place that I could access the recipes was on this tablet, which again, this is super easy to use and easy to follow, but it kind of would have been nice to have the app. It's just not out yet, but it will be out when the units are shipped. So maybe that's not quite fair of me, but I do look forward to using it. Apparently it is also going to have the function that you can just create a shopping list from whatever recipe you want to use, and it will just send a shopping list. So that's very cool, and I can't wait to use that. And then the last one I want to talk about in the sort of things I didn't love, honestly, I don't think it's even fair to put it here, but I didn't know where to put it. So I'm putting it here because I do want to talk to you guys about it. The price. This is a lot going on. This is a lot of technology. As I've told you, it does replace many of your small kitchen appliances, and the price might be slightly off-putting to some. So it's not a cheap appliance. At the time of this recording, and prices do change, but at the time of this recording, I believe the full list price is $9.99 and the pre-order price is $7.99. Go ahead and click that link if you want that discount, because I don't know how long they are going to keep that discount there. But when you think about what it replaces, a high-end blender, and I've already told you this way outperforms high-end blenders that I've used, those are $400, $450. A stand mixer, also $400 to $450, and a good food processor is $200. I mean, you can get really cheap versions of all of those, but I've already told you the quality. This is a high level of quality. It's also incredibly sophisticated in what it does. I mean, none of those machines are smart cooking devices, and this is. So when you think about that price tag of $7.99 or $9.99, it is a bargain for what it does. So, I know a lot of people will look at it and kind of stand back a little bit, which is why I put it in this section. But in all honesty, I do think it's kind of a bargain. Not even kind of. I think it is a bargain. So there you have it. Now let's move on to, I'm going to talk about who I think this is for and who it's not for. Let's first talk about who I think it's not for. It's not for my mom. No, I mean, I'm serious. But what I mean by that is people who are not techie people. My mom, my biggest fan, she watched my last video of the demo of the full recipe. She's like, God, that just looks so fabulous and wonderful and way, way too complicated for me. And I think it is too complicated for her. She doesn't like to use, tablets to control devices and have to think about electronics while she's also thinking about getting dinner out. So it's not for people who don't want to incorporate tech into their kitchen. And I totally get it. But if that's you, definitely this is not a product for you. Now, it's also not for people who are not interested in expanding their cooking repertoire. This is so wonderful to elevate and expand your cooking game. Like I told you, the sauces are phenomenal. The flavors that come out of this, it tastes like you're eating in a restaurant. It's that good. I made their honey mustard vinaigrette potato salad. I'm telling you, the entire family raved about it. So, so good. But it does take a little bit of effort and a little bit of time to not only learn it, but also to execute on that. And if you're not interested in elevating your cooking game, then don't buy it. Just stick with what you're doing because it's working for you. I would also say that it is not for somebody who expects perfection in technology because, as I've already told you, the recipes, some of the verbiage and it needs a little bit of tweaking. There are a couple of little things that need a little bit of tweaking. It's all software related. Occasionally I've had it lose contact, not while I was ever cooking, but I don't really know why it's doing that. It's easy. I just hit reconnect and it's not a big deal. But if you don't have the patience to occasionally have to figure out, well, why isn't this connected? Then it's just probably not for you. Anybody who knows tech knows there's always going to be little tiny things that go wrong. Frankly, most everything can be solved by unplugging and plugging back in, which is what I do. I actually haven't really had to do that with this. But tech is tech, and there are constant updates coming, and it's just one of those things you just have to work through. It saves an enormous amount of time in the long run, but you have to be patient enough to overcome those little issues. And I've already talked about the price, but if you are not the kind of person who understands that sometimes it takes an investment to make your life in the kitchen easier, then probably don't get it. It does make so many things easier. I already told you about the ginger beer, but again, the time it saved me in grating the ginger alone was worth it because we make a lot of it. So, it sometimes takes an investment to make your life better. And that's just kind of the way it is. Now, let's talk about who should consider buying this product. Okay, in some ways, this list is sort of the opposite of what I just said. Who is the CookingPal Multo for? It is for those of you who love kitchen gadgets. I know there are a lot of you guys out there because you guys comment about that, and who love tech innovations. There is no doubt this is a tech innovation and a fabulous kitchen gadget. And gadget sort of understates it. It does so many things. All-in-one kitchen appliance is the right word, not gadget. But people who like tech, who like new and innovative products, and those who like to be on the leading edge of what's going on. I am most definitely one of those people. So perfect product for me. Also, if you want to elevate your cooking game, if you're a little bit tired of the same old, and you want to just add a lot of flavor and some complexity to the meals that you're putting out there, this is a wonderful way to do it. Let me tell you, the mashed potatoes that I made in here, unbelievably good. It was such a good meal. It's mashed potatoes with bacon wrapped chicken and then steamed carrots on top. And because that bacon wrapped chicken, the bacon drippings were dripping all throughout the potatoes at the end when I mashed them. Oh, the flavors. It is, again, like I was at a very high-end steakhouse. Fantastic. So if you're interested in kind of elevating the flavor level of your game, you definitely want to consider this. And finally, this is such a wonderful tool for those of you who are interested in pushing your kitchen forward a little bit into this whole connected cooking movement. There is no doubt that this is the direction that kitchens are moving to. People want to be connected. They want these devices that are smart devices that have recipes that are pre-made, but you can also deviate from them if you want, that tell you how to go to the next step, that give you reminders and beeps if it's time to do something else. This is the way the kitchen is moving. And yes, I know there are a lot of you out there who don't want that, and you don't have to do that. But though the people who want that and who are moving in that direction, this is a wonderful way to get on that path. So there you have it. Whew. Thank you for watching the Spicy Apron Cooking Show. I do hope this was helpful to help you decide if you think that the CookingPal Multo is something that you should consider. I am happy to answer any questions you have. Please go ahead and put them in the comments below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Happy cooking, happy eating, and happy creating.